Hello and welcome back to Sustainable Teacher. If it is your first time here, my name is Leticia and I'm glad to meet you. And if you've been here before, I'm happy to see you again. In today's video we will finish the last video about the reproduction in humans and also the last video of this part of biology from this year. So today we will focus on the cycles. The menstrual cycle, the embryonic development and childbirth, okay? So if you are interested in this video, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. The other day we talked about the anatomy of the reproductive systems, but we didn't talk about the physiology, how it works. So today we will focus on this part of physiology, specifically in the female reproduction system, because it's the one that will host the embryo during the embryonic development and the one that will give birth in the end. But before that, we need to have a fertilization process, and there won't be fertilization without ovules. So today we will talk about how ovules maturate, the ovulation, this process to prepare the ovule to be fertilized. So this ovulation is a cyclic process, okay, theoretically. When in teenage years sometimes they are really irregular, but in the end when female women grow older, the cycles tend to regulate, okay? And this regularity is usually 28 days, 4 weeks, okay? All these processes are controlled by hormones. The estrogens, the follicular hormone, the luteal hormone, and the progesterone. Okay, so we will see that they will have peaks and downs during this cycle. I have a picture in a few slides later. And it will always have three main phases, okay, three main steps. First, the follicular growth phase, which is the phase in which the place in which the ovule will grow will start preparing. Then the ovulation itself means exiting the ovule, exiting the ovary, so the ovule will leave some layers in the ovary wall and will go to the fallopian tube. And finally, all those layers abandoned in the ovary wall will suffer a few processes during the luteal phase. So the follicular phase is going to happen for 2 weeks, from day 1 to day 14. Day 1 is always the first day of the period, of the first day of menstruation, okay? And at that point we will start preparing the next ovulation, the next ovule. This is day 1, and it will last 14 days. Around day 14, it could be 2 days before, 2 days after these days 14, so from 12 to 16, in total 4 days, we will have the ovulation phase, which is shorter than the other two phases. And it is the moment in which the ovule we will prepare, and we will in the fallopian tubes waiting for a sperm cell to fertilize it. And finally, the follicular, the luteal phase, the ovule will travel to the uterus. If it is fertilized, it will get there. If it is not fertilized, the uterus will prepare for a new menstruation, okay? And that's it for now. We are just focusing on the top part of this graph. We will focus on these other parts later, okay? As I told you when we talk about the Ogino and basal temperature, as you can see, there is theoretically a periodicity in this. And also, as you can see in the second part of this graph, the corporal temperature will rise a little bit, in this case 0.3 Celsius degrees. So maybe the difference is not really patent, okay? as I told you also before, this process, these three phases, are controlled by hormones, specifically four hormones: progesterone, estrogens, the luteal hormone, and follicular hormone. So they are in follicular hormone is light blue, luteal hormone is pink, estrogens are gray, and progesterone is purple. Yep, right. So let's see what's happened with these four hormones during the whole ovarian cycle. Okay, in the beginning, for the first week, more or less, all the hormones are low, and then there will be two that will have a big peak, which are the estrogens and the luteal hormone. The luteal hormone is specific from the ovulation days, and the estrogens have a wider period, more or less related with this -+2 days that the ovule can be active in the fallopian tubes. Okay, the follicular hormone has always really low levels compared with the other hormones. It's gonna be a little bit higher in the follicular phase and a little bit, because it's the follicular hormone, and a little bit lower in the luteal phase, even if it is always low, and it will have a small peak as well in the ovulation phase. Okay, and for the progesterone and again the estrogen, they will have a high peak again in the luteal phase. Not the luteal hormone, beware of this, only the purple and the gray, the estrogen and the progesterone. The peak of the estrogens is gonna be smaller than the peak of the previous peak in the ovulation phase, and they will have more days. The peak will last almost those 2 weeks in the luteal phase. Okay, this was for the ovarian cycle, these 4 first rows, let's say, of this graph. Now let's talk about the uterine cycle, but before, let's see some information. We will come back to this picture later. The uterine cycle happens at the same time of the ovarian cycle, but they are different. Okay, the ovarian cycle will happen in the ovaries. Hormones also are released from the ovaries as well as the ovule. The uterine cycle happens in the uterus, and is the process of preparing the uterus to receive a fertilized ovule, if so, or to prepare for menstruation if no fertilization has happened. Okay, so 3 steps also: menstruation from day 1 to day 5, sometimes 7, if even more, if more, they are longer when you are younger. Okay, and when you get older, they get shorter. So let's say from 4 to 7 days of bleeding is normal. This is the menstruation phase, and will happen at the same time of the first week of the follicular phase. Then from day 6 to 14, okay, second week of the follicular phase, we will have the proliferative phase. So in this case, we have finished menstruation, and we will start again preparing the uterine wall, the uterus wall, for the next process of menstruation. Okay, and from the last 2 weeks, along with the luteal phase, we have the secretory phase. We will prepare all the mucus and all the capillaries around this mucus to host the ovule if it is fertilized. If it is not fertilized, we don't have any change in the hormones level, and the uterus will understand that we should restart menstruation. If there is a fertilization and the ovule gets implanted in the uterus wall, the hormone balance will change. It won't be as the one we see before, and there won't be menstruation because all these secretions and capillaries and blood that was there to receive the ovules are going to be working for the embryonic development. So again, in this picture we will now focus in the last row. First 5 days menstruation, first week menstruation, second week proliferative phase, and last 2 weeks 3 and 4 secretory phase. Okay, so that's it if we don't have a baby. But what happens when fertilization happens and we start developing a baby inside the uterus? So we have the embryonic development. Okay, so once fertilization happens, so once sperm cell and an ovule gets together in the fallopian tubes, the fertilized ovule is not anymore called fertilized ovule, it's called zygote. Okay, and the zygote is the first cell, first unique cell from the new individual, half mother, half father. Okay, the zygote will travel through the fallopian tubes to the uterus, and on the uterus wall it will get implanted. Okay, so this is the first step: first fertilization, second traveling through the fallopian tubes, third implantation in the cell of the uterus wall. Sorry, and once the ovule has been properly, correctly implanted in the uterus wall, we will start developing all the layers that will protect this new embryo, which are the placenta and the amniotic liquid. Okay, so the last phase is gonna be starting producing these two structures. From this moment, we can say, from the moment of fertilization, we can say that the pregnancy period has started, and it will last on average, theoretically, 42 weeks, and it will be divided in 3 terms, like because it's 9 months, so 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months. So now we will learn what is gonna happen in each term. In the first term, so for the first 12 weeks, 3 months, what is gonna happen in the embryo is that the first zygote cell will start dividing into more cells. So it's gonna be just a process of cell division, and the cells will start structuring depending on the organ that they will be transformed, specialized in the future. So they will start forming what we can call the head, the trunk, and maybe the tail, because in the embryonic phase we will have a tail. In humans then it's changed and reabsorbed. But in the first embryonic moments, all animals have more or less the same shape. Okay, so if animals have tail, embryos have tail. So this is like the first week, and already in week 7, which is more or less half of this term, we already have head developed, like head and body developed in the fetus, in the embryo. Okay, and at the end of week 9, sorry, and at the end of week 12, the embryo will measure more or less 11 millimeters, so 1 centimeters 0.1. Okay, this is what is going to happen during these 3 first months. In the second term, so from month 3 to 6, we already have all the cells prepared to transform into an organ or a structure. Okay, they are going to get differentiated. We will mature the nervous system, the skeleton also. Okay, so skeletal system. They will start moving, so locomotory system is going to start being prepared, and in week 18 they can already hear. So all the nervous system, locomotor system is gonna be almost ready. And in the last 3 months, the third term, the embryo, the baby, will start growing in size. All the organs should be mature. Hair will grow because they are born with hair. They will move a lot. By week 37, so 5 weeks before birth, all bones are perfectly formed. The lungs are functional even if they don't use it because they receive oxygen because they are in contact with the blood from the mother, okay? And by the moment of giving birth, they usually measure from 45 to 50, sometimes 55 centimeters long, and they measure 3-point-something kilograms usually. So at this point, there will be some signals to start hormonal signals, okay, to start producing the childbirth. So let's see how this happens. The hormonal signal is going to be the oxytocin, that, if you remember from the endocrine system, is produced by the pituitary or hypophysis gland, okay? The oxytocin will start the dilatation phase and the contractions, okay? So contractions will help to push the baby outside. Of course, the vagina should grow to let it go outside. So this is gonna be the process of giving birth. Once the dilatation has reached around 10 centimeters, usually the amniotic bag will break. Sometimes it breaks before, sometimes it's gonna be broken at that time. And once the amniotic bag and placenta are broken, the baby can go outside in the expulsion phase. And once it is outside, the baby should start breathing. Remember that we have already from week 47 functional lungs, even if we don't use them. The baby should start breathing by itself. The thing of giving hitting it on the butt is not true, okay? So there are other forms nowadays less traumatic than this one. And from now on, we have a new human in the world. And this is the end of the video, with a new human in the world. If you have any doubt, specifically probably from the cycles, you can leave them in the comments. And of course, see you soon.